February 28, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It kind of opened, sold off early, then it had this very gradual up channel, kind of consolidated, sold off, had two legs, and then the third leg rally up. So similar to yesterday, there was quite a bit of volume. Yesterday was kind of the reverse where it, sold off, bounced around, had a consolidation, then a sell-off. Today, it had a sell-off, a small rally, consolidation, little sell-off, bounce, and another rally. So it's kind of interesting that you can see it almost, well, not quite, but it kind of tried to recover. So I'm not sure if there's a bottoming pattern or not, but it's kind of how it looks. And this is how I drew out the charts. I'll get to this, but I couldn't quite tell if prices are moving along this yellow up channel or later this purple up channel. So I actually had them both. I first played the yellow, then I played the purple. And there was a consolidation here, these big legs down, and another push up. I took a total of one trade today. It wasn't a very good trade. It should have just been skipped completely, which kind of reminds me of what happened yesterday. I don't think I was on top of my game for sure. So today, after that loss, I just kind of decided, yeah, I don't feel like I'm in tune. And then the economic data that came out today wasn't, it was only the core PCE at 5:30 Pacific Standard, just about right here. It caused a small little spike. And then President Trump came out. I forgot exactly when, but I guess he was talking at some kind of meeting with the president of Ukraine. And as things are just kind of going, there's also some people coming out saying a few things, as with kind of like what's been going on the last few weeks. It's just kind of been choppy at sporadic times. So I took one trade. It's right there. Unfortunately, it was a loss. But I did find a few other trades, but there weren't too many that I particularly liked. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. So pre-market, there's just a lot of volume. It's really choppy. Makes one big leg up, green up channel break, tests the high, pushes back down. Makes kind of I thought a measured move, but it actually exceeds it and comes back down. But it was looking like two legs up, one leg up, pull back, second leg up, more of a spike in the channel on the second leg. Drops around, hits kind of the pre-market highs or close to it, and then it starts selling off and it looks like this green down channel. Similar to yesterday, you can find technical second entries all over the place, but they weren't necessarily good contextually to take a trade off of. So this green down channel, I was trying to make it fit, trying to capture everything, but if I put it up here, it looked like it missed too many highs. And there's a big overshoot, kind of a lot of overshoot down here. So I ended up kind of just keeping it with this type of channel. And there's a small break, and then it dwelled for a while outside. I wasn't too sure if I should actually put it down here because then it negates all these up here, and it has to force the touches down here. So I wasn't really clear what I was looking at, so kind of, which is extra cautious. There's a breakout, and then a rally up on this orange up channel, creates a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long here. The second entry long, you don't see anything, or I don't think of anything. I see that there's this orange up channel, attempt one, attempt two. Now I'm thinking this second attempt, it kind of fell short, close at the low. I'm thinking there could a potential reversal. It's a triple test of a potential developing high. There's a break of this orange up channel. Already made one attempt up, second attempt was higher than the first. It didn't have good follow through, so I thought there's a possible trade here. It's a good signal bar. Pushes down, so this is where the trade should have occurred. It bounces, so I see one touch, two touch, three touch. I see a fourth touch. So I think in my mind, okay, there is a possible trade here for me. So I decided to get my order ready, but I wasn't fast enough. In actuality, I shouldn't have taken this trade because it was actually first entry long, second entry long failure. The trade, I think, was this one. When it came down, I was thinking the EMA is holding. This is a bullish bar, but it is a red bar. So that should have given me pause. I jumped on it on the next candle, one tick above. It flushes down and takes me out. I actually got a little bit of slippage. You can see two purple or two pink dots. It flushed down really quickly, hit my stop, which is below this guy, and I got a little bit of slippage, so I lost a little bit more than I wanted to. Pushes through. I'm thinking failed breakout. but it doesn't. It just keeps going. Now it's a failed breakout, now it pushes back in. So this would have been kind of tricky here, because here it looks like it's a failed breakout ready to go back in, but then the follow through is terrible. If you did go for what I go for, not one tick, 1 point scalp, you would have gotten it, but I wasn't ready because I just took a loss here. Then it pushes up on this green up channel. Looks like it's 2 legs, 1 leg up, kind of 2 legs down, another leg up. It starts pushing. It's first entry long. You have technically a second entry long. It's not a good signal bar though. So it's 1 push, 2 push, consolidates, starts moving down. I couldn't quite fit this well, so I wasn't sure, because if you put it like right here, you really don't have any confirmations at the top, but you kind of have some confirmations at the bottom, but it doesn't look very clean. So I just kind of left it alone. It's a break and touch and test of the low. Starts pushing up. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it's a little bit far from the setup. I was thinking maybe there's a triple test here, 1, 2, 3, but this isn't a very good first initial attempt. I like to see these type of setups with 1 push, 2 push, and then a third one. Then I trust the triple test a little bit more. You have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's a bad signal bar to go short on. Here I did see a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure. If you didn't take this on the engulfing, I don't think it'd be safe to take it after this huge bar close, because it just feels a little sketchy. It would have worked though, but this is also a huge risk bar. This is a 26 tick candle. It's the low, so I'm thinking I'm in a trading range. So it fits relatively nicely. I also have this yellow trend line going up and turn it into a channel here. This purple one doesn't exist yet. Pushes up. You do have a first entry short, technically a second entry short failure. But seeing this, I'm not ready to go long, and the second entry short failure is pretty far from the EMA. You're buying right into the highs of this potential trading range. Pushes up. Kind of get a lower high here, but now it's just really far from the entire setup initially. Pushes the high, it kind of hits a peak, flushes down. Here it bounces, so I'm really liking this yellow up channel now, because the support has 1 touch, 2 touch. This is the third touch support, 1 touch, 2 touch. So you don't really have a third confirmation of the up channel resistance yet, but you at least have a decent idea that this could potentially be a support. Pushes down, it bounces again. I see a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Second entry long, I thought this was a possible trade. I think it is a little more aggressive. It's a break of this orange down channel. First attempt down, so it could be pushing up, thinking it could make a measured move. 1 leg up, second leg up, so you have enough room to get up, but it could also easily respect this EMA and then make another push down to test the low of this. So it kind of goes depending on what you believe the strength of this yellow up channel is versus the strength of this orange down channel. And since the overall bias is pressing up, I gave more weight to it, a potential being long. I wanted though that this didn't have this wick right here. Ideally, it would have cut off completely right here with no wick. Then maybe you have a push through, or even better, it closes at the high. But I thought it was a possible trade, a little more aggressive, and I wasn't sure of it, so I decided to skip it. Pushes up, and it oscillates. Again, it's break of this green up channel, tests and pushes through the new high, 2 attempts up. First entry long, second entry long is a bad signal bar to go long on. Pushes up again. This here is the pre-market high. Technically, it's right here, the highest it's ever been, but it has some more confirmations right here. Kind of rejected nicely and it's pushing back down. So now it's getting close to this yellow up channel again. I'm looking for a bounce, but I also need a clean setup. So technically, in a smaller time, faster tick chart, you have a first entry long pullback, potential second entry long. You do have kind of a triple touch here, not exactly the cleanest, but I didn't see it that way. I wanted something more definitive. First entry long. I wanted to break and test below the low, bounce off this yellow up channel before deciding to go long. Let's say first entry long, technically you have a clear, well, not clear, but you have a technical second entry long, but this is the signal bar, which is terrible. So now it's kind of like this is still the signal bar, but then this follow-up trigger bar is too bearish. So I'm not thinking of going long now, because I'm thinking this orange down channel is going to test this low before it bounces before any appreciable bounce I could trust comes off of this yellow, pushes through. So I'm thinking, is it a failed breakout here, another push up? And it kind of does that, but this isn't a very good, so visual, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar to go long on. I have to wait for a higher low, ideally above the EMA. I for sure need a push and break through the EMA. So you do have a break through the EMA here. It's kind of weak. You have a very decisive push now. So I'm looking for maybe two more candles, one here, and then another one slightly lower for bullish finish for a higher low. But you don't get that. It just keeps going. Your higher low ends up here, but it's too far from the setup. It might be running into this pre-market high as a resistance. Pushes up, kind of consolidates. No clean second entries. You do have a new low here, localized. First entry short, second entry short, doji. I don't want to use that as a signal bar. Keeps pressing up. And I noticed something. It stops short of this yellow up channel. I start playing with the idea that this purple up channel might be also valid from one touch, two touch, three touch, and then here, one touch, two touch, three touch. So this purple one I'm thinking might be the one in play because this yellow one has a breakout here and it's a failure to get to the top. But this purple one's starting to look pretty nice. So maybe this yellow one was valid up to here. And maybe the purple one's actually in play. And it took a little longer for me to discover the purple one because this is the final third confirmation of the purple one. While early on, the yellow one's already been confirmed. So I don't know which one it is, but I'm keeping both in mind. First entry long, pullback, second entry long failure. It is a break of this orange down channel. It's one attempt, two attempts, failure here. I was actually looking for a lower high, ideally on the underside of this EMA, like this next candle after this one would come up, touch the EMA, and then not break through and flush down. Unfortunately, you don't get that. So if you did take this one, I feel it's more aggressive. First entry long, second entry long failure, but I was looking for a lower high. Consolidates, first entry short, second entry short. It's not really the best signal bar. It's EMA is cutting right through them. Pushes down, bounces off this yellow one again. So it's leaving me wondering, is the yellow one in play or is the purple one in play? Yellow one does have these good confirmation, had an overshoot here. Purple one also still touches pretty nicely, but it hasn't confirmed. Well, it's confirmed, so it might be valid. It's three touches on the top, three touches on the bottom. I'm looking for, if it breaks through this yellow, then I'm looking for a bounce off this purple. It kind of respects the yellow. So I see a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short is here, except I don't like that there's not that much room before this local support area. And as you see, it did bounce off the yellow and reverse back up. Pushes up. Technically, a localized low area here, first entry short, second entry short. It's a good signal bar to go short on, but I wasn't too confident on the setup yet because it looks like it's for sure going sideways and the overall bias is bullish. So it felt a little more counter trend trading. But if you decided this is worth it, maybe. I do see a new high. Actually, new high here is a first entry long, almost makes it a new high, almost matches the high. Second entry long. The second entry long, I marked it, but I just didn't like that it was an inside bar. It is two legs down, bouncing off the EMA. It feels a little more risky for sure, but I just didn't really like it. Then by the time the follow through trigger bar occurs and you have clear first entry, second entry, it's too late to try to take this trade, especially with this bar being 17 ticks. I wouldn't put my entry back here, hoping the next candle is going to come all the way back to me, touch and pick up my order, and then flush all the way back up. So this is effectively, the trade's done, in my opinion, for this. Pushes down. I do see a new high, first entry long, second entry long fails right here. Pushes down, and I was thinking, could there be a lower high here? So it's actually pushes up and it flushes down. I thought this lower high is a possible trade because it confirms the failed second entry long here. This orange channel has broken, made one attempt, two attempts, and now it looks like it's coming back down. Each successive time, they're making a little bit higher highs, but they're still failing to meet the high side of this yellow up channel and even this purple up channel. So I'm thinking there's actually one leg pullback. There could be a second leg coming down to bounce off the EMA or even off the purple. But clearly there's enough room. So I thought there was a possible trade here. It's a decent signal bar, even though it's inside the follow through trigger. Well, actually, this is the signal bar for this lower high. Looks pretty decent. Wasn't too concerned about this potential support area because this doesn't look like there's going to be that much of a reaction because it's the first time or the only real area here. There's no like other confirmations from above coming down to bounce off any kind of support here. Pushes down, breaks through. Now I'm looking for a potential bounce off the purple. Looks like it might happen because you can see this is a count reset, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This technically the second entry long is here, but I count as a bigger visual second entry long. Could there be a potential bounce and move up? It does, but the follow through isn't good. If I didn't enter on this one, then I'm not going to enter. And then the follow through, it doesn't look very good because it closes at the middle. So I wouldn't have even tried to take a trade here. Then flushes down, moves down in this green down channel, has a break here, pushes up, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short, but the close of the trigger bar is right at the EMA. The orange up channel has broken and tested the high, so you could argue that this green down channel is going to come back down and test the low, but it already had a break here. So I'm a little unsure. I want a lower high, ideally below the EMA. And then you do get a lower high right here. So this is a possible trade, I think, right here. Pushes down. And it follows this spike in a small channel here because I couldn't get it really to fit any other way to include these two because then it'd be too aggressive and sharp. Because I was thinking at the time, well, what if I try to connect these guys? Where's my second candle here? You know, each of them look a little bit not the best. So I ended up with this spike in this green down channel. Bounces, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short failure potential here, but they're too doji. One kind of a small candle here, kind of a hammer candle here. But then it flushes up. Not really liking this. Break of this yellow up channel, test the high, first entry long. Second entry long here. There's no way for me to have known that it was going to do something like this. So I call this an almost trade because the first entry long pullback, maybe this is going to be a second entry long here. The only thing you have going for it is a potential bounce off this EMA and the pre-market high, which either could be here or if you took it at the absolute, it'd be up here. So maybe there's another key entry point. I didn't really quite factor that in. So I'm not thinking of going long yet, but then the trigger bar occurs and it's just too late to try to take this trade. Certainly I wouldn't take it after the close of this trigger bar because there's no more room to localized high. This gets noisy. I'm thinking there's a potential trading range here. It's a new high, first entry long. Technically a second entry long, second entry long below the EMA. It's a terrible signal bar. I'm not even thinking of going long. Follow through. Now you have a confirmed second entry long, still below the EMA. I don't really like this follow through with the trigger bar either. If it closed the high, that'd be a different story. But the signal bar itself is already red, which is maybe enough for a scalp. Let's see, 59, 99, 50. Yeah, it'd be very tight, but there is a potential scalp here. Pushes down on this orange down channel, kind of bounces. It's a new low here. Technically, the lower new low is right here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. So I just reset the count here. First entry short, pullback, potential second entry short right here. It's a break of this green up channel. Test and made a new high. This is a bad signal bar, but this follow through, actually should have marked this. This is a potential second entry short here. Also top of the range, potential trade here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Does that be enough room to push down? Bounces, so I'm thinking I'm in a range because it has kind of a weak starting point, but at least one touch, two touch, three touch confirmation. One touch, two touch, three touch confirmation. This is also probably a second entry short triple test. Possible trade there. Bounces, first entry short. It's kind of congested here. Kind of comes back down. It's respecting this low end, but it failed to really push that much higher. So I'm not sure it's going to push up to the other side at this point. Kind of consolidates. It looks like it's bottoming. It's flagging to the downside. Pushes through. There's a failed breakout, but then it continues, and then it flushes down. So sit on hands time. Again, there's only really first entry longs here, not close to the EMA. Finally have a new low, first entry short. And then you finally get a second entry short above the EMA, break of this orange up channel. So it's first entry short, technically second entry short, not a good signal bar. It's above the EMA. After the trigger bar closes to confirm the second entry short, there's not that much room before a potential bounce point. So leaving that alone. Pushes back through, breaks out of this yellow down channel and moves right back in. New high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. I really wanted this candle to be more bullish, but it feels like I'd be picking the bottom. This gray line here is my pre-market low. So it's one touch, two touch, a third touch confirmation, but it feels so far away. I wasn't really considering it, but first entry long, second entry long, I'm looking for a higher low. You kind of get a higher low potential here, but this isn't very convincing. Then a follow through, it looks like it might be hitting a resistance area. I'm not sure if this is considered test of the high. It technically has, but I don't know if it has enough in momentum to push up again. It does though. So you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short, I thought there was an actual possible trade here because it did break out of the green up channel, test the high, and now it's moving back down, close below the EMA. So potential trade here. It's this really tight consolidation. These candles are pretty much the same size, but barely moving. Trends down, hits the support area, new low, first entry short, second entry short. I had this at one time, but I want to include this, but it doesn't really touch here. So I actually dragged it down. I was like, do I have a failed breakout here? I'm not sure, but it still doesn't touch this. And I had to drag it even lower to try to include it. And it just didn't look right. So I didn't keep that around for too long. Pushes down. So first entry long, pullback. Technically a second entry long going long on what seems to be a bearish downtrend now. I didn't really like it. Looking for a higher low. You don't really get the higher low confirmation. Kind of keeps going down. Now I do technically have these second entry shorts, but it just feels too tight. Trading isn't as doesn't feel as safe. It's this trading range consolidation area. Pushes back up. I think there is this red down channel because it fits pretty nicely at the bottom. One touch, two touch, three touch. I'm wondering if it's a failed breakout, another potential push back in. Localized new low, first entry short, second entry short, but then it reverses back up. This isn't a very convincing candle to go short on. Pushes up. I was thinking maybe there's yellow up channel, but doesn't really fit that well, so I'm not trusting it as a key entry point. Flushes up. Break of this yellow up channel, test the high. Kind of keeps going. Technically a new low here. We have a first entry short here. Second entry short. Do I have a lower high here? I don't like the looks of this candle, and it doesn't. It just keeps pushing up. Pushes down, first entry long. You might have a second entry long here, but I don't like it's below the EMA. But I do have a confirmed second entry long. Break of this orange down channel is tested low. If it is going to move back up, I don't like that this candle, this trigger bar, closed below the EMA, so I need a higher low. I don't quite get it. I do have a potential higher low set up here, but then it doesn't show up. Now, do I have another higher low here? So it could be a first entry long pullback, second entry long, potential failure, but maybe this is a higher low bounce off the EMA, but the EMA isn't quite super reliable because it did have this dwell time with 3 candles underneath. So this higher low, as you can see, it is here, but it doesn't have any follow through. And here, by this time, if I didn't enter and I saw this, I'm out of it. I'm not even thinking of taking a trade. Consolidates, hits this localized high, first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not thinking of going long, especially when I'm still in this orange down channel, because it could hit this and keep continuing down. Breaks out. The only way for me to take a trade is, at the very least, I need a higher low. You have a potential higher low here, but I don't like that it closed neutral. You have a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. The second entry short, I call it an almost trade because this isn't a very convincing candle. It is a doji. It is closing below the EMA, but it failed to test the high. It made a matching high, so it could be a break, one attempt, could do 2 candles, 3 candles over here, make another attempt down, and then flush back up. So it's a little noisy, or the next candle could just keep going up. You don't know that this is going to happen. So even though I marked it, I say it's an almost trade. Consolidates here, then it finally moves up, hits what I think is some kind of support area. I tried to find a range, but I couldn't. New high, first entry long, technically a second entry long, but this is inside signal bar. I'm not too fond of it. It's also below the EMA at this point. I'm hoping for first entry long, second entry long, higher low. Of course, you don't get that, so it just kind of gets whippy. Starts moving up. But bounces here. I draw this yellow trend line, and then it actually wasn't sitting this high before. See if I can move it down. It was something like this at the time. So I was working with a tighter channel. First entry long, pullback, double top, you have a new low. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short failure. It's a second entry short failure, but I didn't mark it because I don't like the fact that it met to the tick 1 attempt, 2 attempt, 3 attempt, 4 attempts. 4 candles tried to breach this at one time, but it wasn't able to. So to buy in here, I don't know that it might hit the same issue. So I'm leaving that alone. It breaks up and breaks out. Of course, you don't know that at the time. There's no clean second entries. I draw this more steeper green up channel because it looks like it's hanging out outside this yellow up channel. So I eventually kind of drag it to here. Dwells outside longer. I drag it up to here. So it kind of looks like it fits this bigger channel. First entry long, consolidation trading range, pushes back up, breaks out of this green up channel, tests the high, still moving up. I have a small break here. You do have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, but this is inside bar. I'm not even thinking of going long because there's no good indication that's going to do that. It has proven first entry long, second entry long, but there's no setup here. It's too congested, leaving this alone. It starts pushing up. I adjust this a little bit to try to keep things like this. So far, it fits pretty well. Pushes up, new high, first entry long, pullback. Could there be a second entry long here? So it's one leg down, pull up, second leg down. There's a potential trade here because there's also a triple test. I should have marked it. Second entry. Mean to do that. Delete one of those. Triple test this. Possible trade here. I'd have my order ready and I want to see it break above this guy. But depending on how it opens and how much it flushes, I'd probably wait, see how long or where it's doing as I'm running down the tick count. So here it pushes up and pushes down. I don't know if I would have been successful because I didn't take this trade if I would have gotten the scalp. Let's see. Yeah, it would have been enough for a quick 1 point scalp, but I don't know that I would have, depending on when I entered the trade, I don't know if I would have gotten out. I would have gotten stopped out if I entered too late for sure. First entry long. Okay, first entry long, second entry long, new low, first entry short, second entry short. This is a confirmed second entry short, but is it a second entry short failure or a confirmed second entry short? It's a little ambiguous. I'm leaving it alone. I wish this was a green candle, but it flushes down. This looks like it would have trapped you though. So first entry short, second entry short. And if you're thinking this is bullish enough, put your entry one tick above. I don't know if you would have gotten filled or not, but let's say you did. You get filled, and then this candle probably would have stopped you out. If not, one of these guys would have. New high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, but I saw this as one big leg. First entry long, pullback, second entry long, failure. Possible trade. Break of this orange down channel made 2 legs up, these 2 measured moves. It's at the high side of this yellow. So I'm thinking it's going to make 1 leg down, 2 attempts up, and then another leg down. So that's where I drew this measured move. And I'm thinking I have enough room to potentially get to the low side here and ideally back down to here. So I thought this was a possible trade, decent signal bar. Then it flushes down. So this would have worked. Bounces. It's kind of still respecting this yellow up channel pretty well. New low, first entry short. Technically a second entry short, far from the EMA. I'm not a fond of this because it didn't even break out yet. Confirmed second entry short. I'm thinking it's going to be a test of the high of this yellow, this orange, excuse me, this orange up channel. But you'd be counter trend trading if you decide to go short. But I'm certainly not thinking of a long trade either because it's so close to potentially moving up. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, failure. But you're already pressing the high of day. So I don't know how much more room you have. So I'm leaving it alone. Pushes down, bounces. So it's a first entry long, technically a second entry long here. Second entry long failure. This isn't a convincing signal bar to go short on. So if you did try to enter here, if you're like me, you try to enter right here. And I think I would have gotten stopped out here. But if you kept it one tick below and this one formed, I would think I'd cancel my order now because you don't know that this is going to happen. But you do see this moving up. So after the close of this, it's a pretty good chance that it's going to make another attempt up. You don't know that this is going to happen. Pushes down. New low, first entry short, pull up. You have this technically a second entry short here, but it fits nicely on this orange up channel. So I wouldn't really be looking to go short on a clearly bullish reversal here, because this is a very bullish trend now. So to go short feels dicey. So it's a first entry short, second entry, technically second entry short here, but you can see it has one big leg, first entry short, second entry short, failure, pressing to the high. I wouldn't be taking a trade after the close of this. Plus, there's no other real key entry point going for it. Pushes up to the high side, first entry long. Again, that's all you get. Kind of moves, and then you're kind of moving into the last 10 minutes, where, as you can see, the last 10 minutes, there's quite a bit of price action, but it's very, very small, congested little candles, but it is a clear push up. And I'm not taking any trades in the last 10 minutes. If it ever happens and I'm managing something, that'd be pretty cool to be able to kind of drag your runner up with this, because it did move from 59.71 to about 59, let's say 59.40, actually 59, let's just say 59.30. So that's still 40 points in 10 minutes, which is quite impressive. But if you're not already in a trade or managing a runner, it's definitely not the time to try to jump in on something. So when I saw the charts today, another kind of long video because there's a lot of things that happened. Ended up taking one trade and it was a loser, and just probably have to wait. Hopefully next Monday it's, well, hopefully I appreciate days like this more than the really slow days, but the days like this can be kind of tricky. And yesterday was certainly, I thought, kind of challenging, and I'm thinking today was a little easier, but it wasn't a slam dunk either. So hopefully that was helpful.